KBS reporters are on strike. They say the company's president has interfered with news coverage and want him to step down. President Park Geun-hye apologized for the handling of the Sewol disaster and vowed to disband the Coast Guard in a national address. And bereaved families of the Sewol sinking have expressed disappointment with the president's announcement. Hello and welcome to News Today on KBS World. It's Tuesday, May 20th. I'm Luke Clary. News from the KBS newsroom. Reporters are on strike demanding the resignation of KBS President Gil Hwan-young. Former News Bureau Chief Kim Si-gon accused President Gil of interfering with news coverage when Kim resigned from the post and transferred to another department last week.
Some 200 members of the two major labor unions blocked KBS President Gil Hwan-young from coming to work yesterday morning. They claimed that someone who had violated the freedom of press is not fit to serve as the head of KBS. The KBS Journalists Association and the National Association of Journalists also went on a strike today, demanding Gil's resignation. Most management executives of the News Bureau has resigned from their posts and joined other reporters and news anchors in the strike.
편파적이고 불공정하고 청와대를 칭찬하는 악화하는 뉴스는 잘 나가고 비판하는 뉴스는 없는 그런 처참한 수준이었습니다.
With the entire news department refusing to produce any of the news programs, Gil maintained that former News Bureau Chief Kim Si-gon's accusation that he had interfered with news production is maliciously exaggerated and distorted. He admitted that he told Kim to cut the number of news items about the Coast Guard and put the segments about the president at the top, but he apparently did not consider such actions as interference. He also explained that he did not meet with the bereaved families of the ferry accident when they had come to the KBS building on May 8th because outsiders who had other agendas were included in the family group.
만나서 사태가 더 악화되면 악화됐지 해결의 기미가 전혀 보이지 않는 이런 상태에서 순수하게 유가족만을 좀 만나자.
He later admitted that he was very upset with the family's march to Cheongwade and that he had talked over the phone with the president's senior political affairs secretary Park Jun-woo. Although Gil said he is not attached to the post, he still refused to step down.
President Park Geun-hye apologized for the sinking of the Sewol ferry in a tearful national address. As a response to the poor handling of the disaster, she also announced a plan to disband the nation's Coast Guard.
President Park Geun-hye issued an apology over the sinking of the Sewol ferry on Monday. Park said that as a president who is responsible for the public's life and security, she sincerely apologizes to the people who had to suffer pain.
이번 사고에 제대로 대처하지 못한 최종 책임은 대통령인 저에게 있습니다.
The president unveiled a plan to overhaul the structure of some government agencies. She said that the Coast Guard failed to fulfill its duties in the disaster and will be dissolved. Its investigative role will be transferred to the police, while a new National Safety Agency will take over its rescue, salvage, and maritime security functions. The president said that under the government restructuring plan, the Ministry of Security and Public Administration will be downsized to only handle administrative issues. The Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries' duty of controlling maritime traffic will be transferred to the new National Safety Agency. Park explained that the National Safety Agency will take charge of addressing all types of disasters. She also said that the government will devise a master plan on boosting safety and innovation after gathering opinions from experts in the public. The president proposed designating April 16th as a day of national safety and building a monument for the Sewol victims.
President Park has also proposed a reform plan aimed at severing collusive ties between government agencies and civilian organizations. She also proposed a special law that would force corporations to take financial responsibility in the accidents that they cause.
President Park Geun-hye pointed out that the collusion between government agencies and civilian organizations is a chronic social ill and declared that she would sever such ties.
저는 관피아의 폐해를 끊고 공직사회를 근본적으로 개혁하기 위해 공무원이 되는 임용부터 퇴직에 이르기까지 개방성과 전문성을 갖춘 공직사회로 혁신하려고 합니다.
First, government employees will be banned from serving as the heads of organizations overseeing safety inspection and licensing. The number of organizations with a ban on recruiting retired public servants will be increased more than threefold, and government employees will be banned from entering private employment for 3 years after having left government services. In order to reform the public service sector, an equal number of open recruits and civilians will be hired, and people with expertise in the given field will be selected for each job only when needed. The president also said that she would propose a special bill that would allow the government to redeem even the hidden assets of a corporation that caused damages to people and their properties.
이번에 크나큰 희생을 당한 분들이 부도덕한 기업과 범죄자들로부터 피해를 보상받느라 또 한 번 고통을 받는 일이 없도록 할 것입니다.
Park promised to legislate another special law that allows the state to promptly compensate victims first, then exercise its right to indemnity to the responsible party. In order to find out what really happened at the accident, President Park also proposed a special law that includes establishing an investigation committee comprised of lawmakers from both the ruling and opposition parties, as well as civilians. She stressed that, if necessary, a special prosecutor team would be launched to find out the truth and punish those responsible.
Politicians have levied their reactions to President Park Geun-hye's statement over the Sewol tragedy, revealing the divide between the ruling and opposition camps.
Spokeswoman for the ruling Saenuri party Min Hyun-ju said President Park Geun-hye's statement conveyed a strong message that government agencies incapable of ensuring the people's safety should not exist. Min said that the president's honest and sincere statement presented a paradigm shift. She stressed that the ruling party will give full support to the president's government restructuring plan. Min added that to back the government overhaul, her party will work to legislate a special law at the National Assembly. However, the main opposition, New Politics Alliance for Democracy, played down the president's statement, calling it insufficient. Spokesman Park Kwang-on said in a news briefing, "It's only natural that the president apologizes and accepts the final responsibility for the disaster." But he added that it's regrettable that her apology came 34 days after the tragedy occurred. The opposition spokesman said the disbanding of the Coast Guard is just a shocking remedy, and it gives the impression that the president is shifting all responsibilities to the Coast Guard. Spokesman for the main opposition party's campaign camp, Min Byung-du, denounced the president for avoiding direct responsibility over the incident.
Bereaved families of the Sewol sinking victims expressed disappointment with the president's public address, saying she failed to explain the inadequate rescue efforts and that her announcement that she would disband the Coast Guard could disrupt search efforts.
The president's announcement that she would disband the Coast Guard disturbed the families of missing Seoul ferry victims, as well as for divers and the Coast Guard officials. The families of ferry passengers who are still unaccounted for are the ones who worry the most about the gloomy atmosphere in the Coast Guard. They were devastated yet again because the president didn't mention anything about the search efforts. They said the government must not turn a blind eye to finding the bodies of their loved ones.
마지막 한 명까지 모두 찾는 것이 실종자 가족들의 간절한 소망임에도 실종자에 대한 원칙과 수색 방안은 어디에도 없었습니다.
As the families of missing passengers expressed their extreme anxiety and disappointment, the government promised to continue the search efforts regardless of whether the Coast Guard is disbanded or not.
마지막 한 사람의 실종자를 찾을 때까지 수색 구조 활동에 혼신의 힘을 다할 것입니다.
Representatives of bereaved families and families of missing and surviving passengers of the Seoul tragedy have gathered in Jindo to announce their official stance on the omission of search efforts from the president's public address and their concerns about the disbandment of the Coast Guard.
The Coast Guard claimed that there was no video from its first vessel to arrive at the Sewol when it was sinking. However, KBS has obtained the footage. Let's take a look.
After arriving at the scene, the Coast Guards rush to launch a high-speed boat into the sea. Another ship comes to aid the rescue operation. These images were taken by a surveillance camera installed at the stern of the Coast Guard vessel that was the first to arrive at the scene of the Sewol accident. However, the head of the Coast Guard, Kim Si-gon, said that there were no video clips taken by a surveillance camera.
CCTV로는 촬영한 게 없고요.
그때 휴대폰으로 촬영한 게 그 영상의 전부입니다.
But a day after Kim made the remarks, the head of the Mokpo Coast Guard told him that such video clips did exist. The two discussed measures to cover up the blunder.
이때 없다 말하지 말고 항상 없다. 필요한 정보는 이미 공개했으며 이렇게 해서 빠져나가려고.
Embarrassed by the report, Kim repeatedly asked the Mokpo branch chief when the video clips would be deleted. KBS obtained the video clips that show the Coast Guard vessel's initial responses and operations. The Coast Guard explained that it did not make the video clips public since they were not important. It added that its chief gave a wrong answer as he mistook the surveillance camera as a satellite communication network. The leadership of the Coast Guard will be under fire for their irresponsibility and incompetence.
Prosecutors are stepping up their investigation into the bribery allegations involving former STX Group chair Kang Duk-soo. Circumstantial evidence indicates he may have illegally lobbied the former chief of the Seoul Regional Tax Office.
The Seoul Central District Prosecutor's Office investigating the graft charges involving the STX Group apparently secured detailed testimony about how former Seoul Regional Tax Office Chief Song Kwang-jo received bribe from the financially ailing shipping magnate. It's alleged that a former STX Group executive gave the former taxman nearly $9,800 over 2 meetings in 2011. The prosecution believes that Song was asked to go easy on the STX affiliates in their tax audits. Back then, Song was serving as the head of Busan Regional Tax Office and an inspector with the National Tax Service. Song resigned from his post in last August after he was found to have received money from the CJ Group. The prosecution plans to summon him as a suspect and question him soon. The prosecutors are also looking into requesting an arrest warrant for former Korea Trade Insurance Corporation President Yu Chang-mo. Yu was questioned by the prosecution on May 13th over the allegation that he had received $100,000 from the STX Group to pay his son's graduate school tuition.
Farmers have their hands full these days planting crops. Rising temperatures due to global warming mean that rice farmers have to start planting rice seedlings earlier than usual.
Farmers are busy planting rice seedlings. Farmers in Gohung, South Jeolla Province, and other parts of the nation's southern region began planting rice seedlings back in March as part of a double cropping system. In recent years, rice has been planted earlier than usual. Back in the 1980s, the Rural Development Administration advised farmers to plant rice on June 5th, but this year it suggested May 25th, which is about 10 days earlier.
5월 10일에서 늦어도 6월 10일 전에는 다 끝내고 있어요, 못 내기를.
The biggest factor behind the early planting schedule is global warming.
기후가 온난화되면서 봄이 일찍 찾아오고 그런 것을 민감하게 반응한 농업인들이 이제 모짜리를 빨리 하게 되면서
The rice is also being planted earlier nowadays because researchers have developed rice varieties that can endure the cold weather, enabling them to be harvested earlier. Global warming and the development of new rice varieties have changed the way rice is being cultivated in Korea.
The knife is one of the most essential tools in the kitchen, but did you know that if used correctly, a simple knife can be used in place of 10 other cooking utensils? Let's take a look. The knife has been an essential part of cooking for ages. Knives come in many different shapes and sizes and can be used in a number of ways. But before we start, it's best to learn how to hold a knife properly.
멀리 잡으시면 손목에 무리가 가겠죠? 그 다음에 이렇게 잡으시는 분들이 있어요. 요것도 이렇게 옆으로 흔들릴 수가 있어서 안전사고가 일어날 수가 있습니다. 그래서 요 가운데 중지가 앞쪽으로 해서 이렇게 잡으시고요. 그 다음에 엄지가 잡으시고 검지가 요쪽 볼을 이렇게 잡으시면 됩니다. 이렇게 세 손가락 하나, 둘, 셋 이렇게 잡으시는데 너무 꽉 잡으시면 칼질할 때 위험할 수가 있어요.
Wielding a knife can be scary for novices. We're at the home of a housewife who's been married for just 2 years. She has a hard time with her knife. Her cutting is really slow. But the real problem is that the pieces are all different in shape and size. Some are thicker than her finger.
항상 보면 이렇게 모양도 일정하지 않고 너무 미워요. 음식할 때 정말 짜증나요.
Since she's not skillful with the knife, she'd rather use scissors to cut some ingredients. She's often frustrated that her dishes don't look as pretty as she'd hoped. Here's a culinary instructor to show us how to use the knife properly. Her knifing skill is definitely faster and more accurate. She helps the homemaker figure out what her problem is. The homemaker shows the instructor her knives. It turns out the knives were the source of her problem.
가장 큰 문제점은 칼이 상당히 무뎌요. 이렇게 되시면 어깨에 힘이 많이 들어가서 힘드시거든요. 칼 사용하시기 전에 충분히 갈아주신 다음에 사용하시면 훨씬 더 힘도 적게 들고.
A knife usually lasts about 10 years. It will make your job easier if you sharpen it about 3 times immediately before using. Just slide the blade in one direction on a whetstone. A sheet of sandpaper can do the job as well. Wrap a wooden roller with sandpaper and rub the blade several times against the grainy surface to sharpen the knife like new. See how much sharper it has become? Another problem can be found in the homemaker's posture. Stand about a fist's width away from the cutting board and don't stoop. When standing up straight, the countertop should reach your belly button. That way, you'll be able to work longer without tiring yourself out. You can tell that she feels more comfortable using the knife after learning the proper technique. A knife can be used for many other purposes besides cutting and slicing. A knife can be a very versatile tool if you know how to use it. You can use a blade spine instead of a potato peeler to peel carrots or potatoes. When mashing soft ingredients like tofu, use the flat side of the knife to smash it faster. The heel of the knife is perfect for removing the sprouts from potatoes. And orange or pineapple rinds can be sliced away easily with the sharp end of the knife. So how effective was this lesson on proper knife use?
오늘 해보니까 자신감도 생기고 참 좋았던 것 같아요.
Remember these tips when using your kitchen knife from now on. Soon you'll be able to slice away like a professional chef. Now we'll take a look at the markets, followed by the world weather. That's it for this edition of News Today. We'll see you again at the same time tomorrow. Have a great day.